Ladies, gentlemen, let the show begin. Alright, do you like video games? And I know you do. What about entertainment? We got that too. Video game, I'm on a video game. Video game, oh, what's the name? Video Game Armada. This is the one true, I'm the gamer boss Bronze.
And the information for True Backlash.
And the First Lady of Media, Blue.
It's the new year, you know what that means? Time for a new movie for the new year! Hooray!
Woo-hoo!
And we got a very good one today, Ip Man 3. I'll tell you what, people, you don't know Ip Man that you ain't doing yourself a service. You know, there's 1 and 2. Go watch 1 and 2. We can wait. Or you can press stop, watch 1 and 2, and then listen to the review of 3.
Ip Man don't take no Ip Man.
You know, you would think he would be like a superhero, and he kind of is. But I suppose that's his actual name. Is it true? I don't. What's my research staff say?
That is his actual name.
Mm-hmm. So that is very convenient.
Yes.
So, for those who don't know, Donnie Yen, who plays Ip Man, is a very skilled practitioner of Wing Chun.
Wing Chun. A form of Kung Fu.
Mm-hmm. And this guy, no matter if it's just thugs or the Japanese or even more thugs, he takes care of business. But things are changing in his world. He's got a kid now, he's got a darling wife, but again, more thugs show up, and the thug leader, none other than Frankie, aka Mike Tyson. Oh yes, baby, he's back, doing what he does best, fighting and looking mean and evil.
I thought it was raising pigeons and biting ears.
Well, no biting ears this time, but I gotta admit, for a bad guy, he certainly does the job.
He's scary. He's very, very scary.
Yes. So, will Ip Man survive again? Will he see happiness and continue to teach his beloved martial art, or will Mike Tyson punch him out? Let's find out in the review, which is not, because that would ruin the whole movie for you.
No.
But in the way of the story, how does the story? Is it good? Because he does this a lot, Ip Man. He goes to a town, or rather, he is in the same town. He tries to do right, tries to teach Wing Chun, form of Kung Fu, but there's always something there just to ruin his day. Well, but he's done it for like 3 movies.
Well, let me say.
How do you feel about that, story-wise?
Story-wise, this is based on true story. China was going through quite a bit at one time. A lot of influx from other countries, other powers. And the actual culture of China at that place and time was one where ultimate respect, harmony, peace. But then, you know, there's always greedy factions from other powers in the world that seize an opportunity to make their mark and gain all the riches that are associated with the culture. So that being the setting, enter Ip Man 1 and 2. And then, you know, knowing that sometimes these warring factions from other entities come in with such a force that they want to literally take over the indigenous population at any cost, no matter what it takes. So that typically leads to a warlike culture. It typically leads to poverty. So enter Ip Man 3. So now you have him as a man of means, so to speak, in terms of his mentality.
And respect. Don't forget respect.
Ultimate respect. And a man of a strong sense of right and wrong. And, you know, he wants to try to uphold anybody who's being taken advantage of, or anyone who's the underdog. So with all that in mind, when you see Ip Man 3, you kind of know that this gentle man is fighting against all odds, and he was amazing. So in terms of the way I feel about the story, it strikes a chord, because not only was it something that actually happened, but it was just well written. So, and the same people most of the people that played in Ip Man 1 and 2 were back for Ip Man 3. So it was almost like that same effect you felt.
Give it up for Fatty Poe!
Fatty Poe! Fatty Popo.
Popo. Yeah, you're right. Fatty Popo. I like that. Maybe that's where that came from.
Don't make fun of the guy.
No, but
That's what they called
that's
him.
his name, Fatty Po. Okay.
That's because they belong to the same culture. We don't get to call him Fatty Po. I don't think.
Oh, goodness.
For the fact of the
Excuse our politically incorrectness.
well, but you know, technically that was his actual character name in the story.
Mm-hmm.
Fatty Po.
Fatty Po.
And he was a policeman.
Yeah.
So Fatty Popo seems apropos.
It seems perfect.
It seems perfect.
One time we seen him in the movie. It's so like, oh, Master Ip, what am I going to do with you? You know?
I'll just eat a donut today. But yeah.
French fries. Sorry, we're having. Is that mine?
Yeah.
No, we're having lunch during our particular
Review.
this time.
Review. Like this time. Like, and try every time.
Multitasking.
But you were saying.
So you know, for one who loves action and one who loves really great storylines, you can't miss with this. I mean, you felt like you were fighting a boss character.
Mm-hmm.
Almost every 5 minutes there was some new thrilling event.
Like good old fashioned beat 'em up.
And so well done. I guess you know already by now, Donnie Yen did play the central character of Ip Man.
Mm-hmm.
He was amazing. And just for those of you who aren't familiar with the character, Ip Man actually was the master of Bruce Lee. Needless to say who Bruce Lee is, and if you don't know who Bruce Lee is, you really got to get out more.
Mm-hmm. Seriously. Try the unquestioned, unbeaten super fighter of our age next to Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson. Which Mike Tyson is also in the movie. Yay!
Yay! Yes. He's a scary man. Did I say that before?
I think we both said he's a very scary man.
Oh my goodness! And he acted pretty. He was a good actor in this movie.
He even threw some Chinese. How about that?
Yes, he did. And very well done, I might say.
Backlash. You got anything to add to the story wise?
Well, I gotta say, you know, the story was simple. And I don't take that the wrong way. I just mean in the age of superhero movies and their complex storylines from 616 Universe or Earth 2, or talking about Infinity Stones, or where the blue heck did they all come from? You know, or have these sci-fi reboots that redefine what's supposed to happen and use all the technical jargon in the world to use it all, or the other sci-fi where
It's also a reboot.
which is also a reboot more or less, where you have all these different, you have an empire but not an empire, but it's different. You know, and you know what? Don't get it twisted, people. I love every second of it. But it's nice to have a movie that its action scenes, big duh, it goes fast, but between all of those scenes, they make up about 20 to 25% of the movie. Every other time, it takes its time. It slows down its pacing, even when people are angry or screaming. It's still a slow movie. It doesn't insult the audience, but it gives them a time to just look at all this stuff. I mean, there's one, I won't spoil too much, there's one part in the movie where Master Ip, he had an appointment to do something, and he didn't care. What did he do? He decided to spend time with his family, telling jokes, it's like, yeah, we're gonna do this, but that's the character. We got to experience that about him, and basically they spent like 5 good minutes on that scene, like going back and forth. It's like, where is Mr. Ip? It's like, that's kind of cool. And I'll get more to that in the characters, because I do want to say something about that. Also, it's I'm interested to see how much more it can do with the series. I actually thought Ip Man 2 was the last of it, but of course, I guess not.
Guess not.
Yeah.
Guess not.
And I guess we can move on to the characters now. And I'll be honest with you, as the characters go, they definitely did their job and then some. I was expecting, like, white hot knuckle fight. A little slowness, a little exposition, then fight. But it actually turned out to be quite the drama as well. And that's no short part due to the characters themselves. Each actor played the part, from Donnie Yen to even Mike Tyson. I forget who did Ip Man's wife, but she played the heck out of her role, for sure. From one scene change to another, I'll say.
Well, she hasn't aged a day.
Mm-hmm.
She's gorgeous all the way through all the Ip Men.
Ip-Mans.
All the Ip Mans.
Even little kid actors, although they were more or less whining and crying, to rivals, to you fat, thin, short, they all were their own little characters for what they were playing to do. And it was very believable. Even though subtitles were, used.
But by the way, they do have subtitles.
Mm-hmm.
They even have subtitles for people who do English.
And you know how, which is a little confusing, but okay. And like you said, it could have been like a little too British. Maybe that's why they put the subtitles in for that one gentleman. But the point is that they definitely played their roles very well.
Mm-hmm. And there was so much action in the whole story. You really didn't even notice that you were dealing with subtitles.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I don't like to read, people. I don't go to the movies to read. I'll either go home or to the library. But when the movies, no. But like Blue said, plenty of action. People were not talking with the words. They were talking with their fists and feet and whatever contorted moves they had at the moment.
Well, the characters, they're very good. First and foremost, let's get the American people out of the way. Let's talk about Mike Tyson. In the last couple of decades, along with that crazy voice of his, he's been seen as and I'll go back to the serious voice because he did have sadly he did have some allegations against him, which we won't go into. But he's been seen as first as kind of a douche, and then after he got past that period, kind of like a crazy person. He's been seen as kind of the butt of a joke, to the point where he also has an Adult Swim show about him solving mysteries, and having a pet pigeon go along for the ride. But in this movie, I mean, he still had the accent now, but for the most part, it was surprising. Tyson, like Dave Bautista, given the limited material, he's pretty good as an actor. And it's like, and it even he had that stupid tattoo on his face, he looks so serious. You have this one close-up scene in HD, you saw like bits of gray in his mustache, and that's something I'm not used to seeing in Mike Tyson. It's like they made him this intimidating, but ultimately classy businessman. And I was like, wow. And on the action front, of course, Tyson delivered. He did a really, really good job. He was brutal as always, but he was also kind of refined in a way, or at least tried to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Donnie Yen. Donnie Yen is Master Ip. Man, he goes through so many emotions in this movie. It's unreal. It proves that this is not just an action movie. It's
a human story.
It's a human story. I couldn't have put it better myself. And that the scene where I described earlier about the story where he was doing his own thing with his wifey and his kid, I like that. That made me respect the character of Master Ip. It's like he did what he felt was right, And he's just like, he's starting to feel like Mr. Rogers to me too, because he's this friendly guy who wants to be left in peace. But he's all polite, he's all kind. People looked at him as a hero. But I mean, in a way, he got his hero on that he knew he could every so often, but he was a very humble guy. And he remains that way. That hasn't changed from Ip Man 1. His family is cool, especially that wife of his. His wife, again, she had a much bigger role to play in this movie. And boy, did her actress deliver. Let's see. The rest of the non-Tyson villains and antagonists, they played up their parts well. It was well acted. I don't understand Mandarin or Chinese, so I really can't say how they did on an emoting level. But from their body movements, it was incredible. The other thing is, I'd have to disagree a little with the kids. The kids, both of them were the Ip Man's son and the other Wing Chun practitioner son. They did play their parts well for the kid actors, but they when they're crying, they were like a test pad, like. I mean, it's I don't know if that's how kids cried back in that part of Hong Kong at that time. Then I know kids are a little bit more rambunctious than that.
Well, yeah, but those kids were being put through quite a lot, and that cry was a little annoying. I just can't help it. I'm sorry to say. I'm glad it was few and far between. If they were all crying, all the time in the movie, I couldn't stand it.
Mm-hmm. And then
I mean, come on, you're the son of Ip Man. Don't be such a baby.
Yeah, I know, right?
Just know.
And then
how many times has Ip Man have been fighting these evil things?
I gotta say, I totally agree, because I'm sorry, you're Ip Man's son, you're fighting back. Even if your little hits don't.
He fought back, he bit somebody.
Yeah, when his father told him to. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler, folks, we're sorry. But the reality of it is, you're Ip Man's son. You're seeing Ip Man do what he does
every day.
Mm-hmm. It's a part of who he is. And if you didn't do nothing but try to emulate that, that would be something you would be high on your list to do. Can't wait to fight. Yeah. Your mom's probably saying, no, don't fight. You can't wait to fight. Now you got a chance to fight. Yeah. But it is what it is.
Well, the last character I want to talk to, because most of the other characters were just ascended extras or demoted to extra characters from the last couple of movies, or they're just living props there. But there's this Weasley little snot in the middle of the movie, right before you got to Frank, that he was such a punk, but he did his job well. You wanted to hate him. He tried to bring out all this swagger and style, but in the end he was just a chump, and it's like, but he played his part well. I actually kind of thought it was kind of cool, but not the chump part, but the style part. The fact that he was surrounding himself with all these strong people, and yet he himself is.
Spoiler.
It's just this, but I like that character in the movie. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, he definitely stand out because he's super flashy. But now let's get to the best part of the review. The goods and the bads, and I literally had to rein these guys in from talking about it until this point. Yeah. So you guys can have at it. The goods.
Let us talk about it.
The goods.
Well, the goods. I actually have nothing but praise for the movie in the series. It's done so well. I'm not a fan. I think I've clearly said this many times of anything that I can truly tell is fake or artificial. I don't like seeing wires or smoke or mirrors. I just don't like it. It's not a turn off for me, and I feel like if you're charging whatever you're charging for a ticket price, you should make sure that you've done your job editing it so sufficiently that you can't tell what it is I'm about to see.
CGI is fun, right?
Oh, I love CGI as long as I can't tell it's CGI. I love it as long as it's not so darn dark that you can see what it is you wanted me to see. But typically when you look at a lot of the Asian films, especially the Chinese, whenever they want to project there's people in the air, sometimes you see like they're doing the whole wire act thing. I'm not into that. This movie really was amazing. The action is so amazing. The fight scenes are so authentic, and with each one of these heavy cult films, like there's so much fighting that goes on when you see Jackie Chan. You know what to kind of expect, but you always see some subtle differences from movie to movie. Same thing goes when you're seeing Bruce Lee flicks or Jet Li flicks, or you have an opportunity to see this amazing martial artistry at work, no matter what style it is. But sometimes you don't always get a chance to see that freshness of some moves that you haven't seen. This movie, I saw the Ip Man 1 and 2, and it's classic Ip Man, but there was still some pieces of it that were new. There were some fights, moves that I saw that was new, and it was exciting, and it kept me on the edge of my seat. I loved it. The movie is something that if you're into any action, and if you're particularly into martial arts films, you are going to be in for a treat. It's amazing fights. Boom, 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 boom. It almost made me feel like, oh, I got to go back to the dojo.
We all do. We're a little off in our training.
Yeah, just a tad.
All right. I have to agree. I mean, I like the fight scenes, but also the drama was pretty darn good its darn self. You know, and I didn't guide it. I was caught off guard how much, like you said, it was a human piece it was. And it told me a little bit about his life outside of the fight. Mm-hmm. And it was definitely some nice context. Again, I like the characters. They were very realistic to me. And the overall story was, okay, it happened like 3 times in a row. It's not the most original, well-paced story, but it did for the purpose. And I'm happy for that. But the all-time favorite thing for me was the thing that they built in the trailer, the Mike Tyson versus Donnie Yen / Ip Man fight.
Yes.
That was worth the $8 I paid for this
So
thing.
worth it. I would have liked it. Well, okay, I'll say
It was like the ultimate contrast, from East versus West style of fighting. Ip Man, fluid, strike hard and fast, focusing on avoid, evade, counter strikes. While Mike Tyson, aka Frankie style, was like a bull rush. Giant slab of muscle. If he gets hit like a half a dozen times,
done.
he would have been down and broken.
Put you away.
Putting these two very effective fighting styles together was amazing. And seeing it in action, I honestly, again, I'll save it for the bad, but for me, that was that this part of the review is over, and I had nothing but good thoughts and feelings and recommendations for seeing that fight. See the movie, if nothing else, for that fight. Backlash.
Well, like I said, I already mentioned that the movie story was good in its simplicity, and I stand by that. That it got us from point A to point B. There are a couple subplots. There are a couple of different antagonists that Ip Man had to face. But ultimately, the story stayed true to itself and didn't try to overcomplicate or overcomplicate things at the last minute or try to swerve the audience, which that's more or less a wrestling term for trying to trick the audience into thinking there's something else is happening. But and sometimes that's all you need. Ip Man's good in its simplicity because it was amazing. What it did, it was incredible.
It was.
And
Really.
And it, you know, it just really held firm. And you know, that's something you'd like to see a little bit more in American cinema. Sometimes, you know, sometimes I bet there's a lot of indie films and a lot of films with the different, more pronounced genre that are like that. But you really can't tell because you know they don't really make it of importance like in a big movie like Ip Man, and they did well. Other than that, the action, no question, out of this world. Pretty, you know, it helped the movie become what it is. And that Frankie fight was very good, but there was a fight at the end. I don't know if it's a spoiler or not.
Yeah.
But every action movie has a fight at the end, so it's it's those fights. Let's put it this way: you will enjoy almost all the fights, if not all the fights, in the conditions that these fights are taking place at. There's not much more I could say because, honestly, aside from the plot and the characters, hey, you know what else is there? There's no kibble, no clutter, no fluff to critique. It's just a linear, simple, wonderful story, and some pretty awesome.
Amen, brother.
Mm-hmm. Who wants to talk about the bad then?
I do.
Go ahead.
Okay. I gotta start by saying
Of course.
Really, I mean, to me, the movie was amazing. I mean, you know, I don't want to recant, but I feel strongly about the idea of seeing a longer boss fight. And I'll kind of leave it at that. There were a couple of these great fights that were just so well done, and they were amazing, yes. But I wanted more. It was almost like you get a really great steak at a fabulous steakhouse, and you get the filet mignon, and it's just enough for a bite or two. So you want more, and I really wanted more. So again, that's a nitpick. And then I also think that for the trilogy, I felt that it left room for the potential to have an Ip Man 4. Because I kind of thought that the Ip Man 3 was going to be the end of it. But now, seeing the movie, I kind of feel there might be the potential for an Ip Man 4. And the reason I'm putting it on the something I don't like, because if Ip Man 4 doesn't happen, there's going to be these things that I was hoping to see in the sense of the more boss fight that might happen in 4, but if there is no 4, I still won't get it. So that's my.
It may sound a little confusing, but when you watch the movie, you'll understand.
And that's my thing.
Okay. Backlash?
Well, you know, I gotta say, I think I liked Ip Man 2 better. You know.
Really?
Yeah, I kind of like the pacing of that movie better. It and that's not to take away from this movie at all. The second movie was just about as linear. As the pacing of the story was just as simple, almost as simplistic. But you know, you felt like it was on the grander scale, that movie, just a bit. And the ending, priceless of that movie. The only other thing I really think I could say is, you know, it's like, excuse me.
Jeez. Come on, it's not even close to
Jeez.
being evening yet.
Good grief.
You gotta stop partying all
Whatever.
night.
Whatever. The only other thing I really could say about Ip Man, as if bad, is it's just mainly more nitpicks that you know, it's like that's really all I have. If I remember anything else, I'll let you know before we wrap this up. But you know, there really isn't too much more other than I felt the second movie was a better told movie, and you know, that's pretty much it. Subtitles, no big deal.
I have to agree with both of you, really, is that, and one in particular, what you said, Backlash, is because I believe you liked 2 for the same reason, for the same thing that Blue said, is that longer boss fight, because the boss fight in this movie wasn't really a boss fight. It was more like a contrasting of styles. You know, he was the main villain was Frankie, which was Mike Tyson. But spoiler alert, spoiler alert, for 3 times. That fight was in the middle of the movie. It wasn't a bad fight. It was glorious, but it's in the movie, and it wasn't the longest. In the second movie, it was about the Japanese taking over, and they were militaristic, and like, you know, the cultures don't really like each other legitly, and here comes this up and comer like martial art expert just taking over Ip Man's town, and he was enforcing his law, and it was like crazy.
So they were brutalizing people.
Yep, and so when they were fighting, Ip Man was like, had like a lot on the line, and in turn, the audience felt like there was a lot on the line because this evil force, this imperialistic force, was going up against hometown of Ip Man. And that resonated with people well because, you know, you really hate this guy. You don't get that in Ip Man 3. You only get that from Mike Tyson. And even then, Mike Tyson is, oh yeah, that's Mike Tyson. I sort of like this guy. He likes to fight people. Ip Man's a pretty good fighter. You want to see them fight. But the guy at the end, not so much.
Yes, exactly.
So
Yeah, you felt a little conflicted about the boss fight.
Yeah.
It was more, and this is a spoiler, folks, so, the fight at the end that we all anticipated we would see, we didn't get to see.
Yeah.
So I think, in essence, if you go to see Ip Man 3, we really might get an Ip Man 4.
And even then, the final villain is not really a villain, I think. He's just, again, I'm not going to ruin it for you, but let's just say he's not a villain.
Right.
He's
not a villain.
He's not a villain.
But, we don't want to spoil it, so we're going to leave it at that.
Yeah, I have nothing left to add to the bads. But I will say for my review, I'll give it a pass. I would have given it a platinum pass, but again, I think if they would have switched it around just a little bit, having the Mike Tyson fight at the end longer, it would have been perfect. But right now,
I'm definitely going with a plat. Even though I do have that, that ultimate feeling that I want it more, the fact that I want it more even just solidified it for me. I mean, the fighting was amazing. I mean, Donnie Yen is so good. And I mean, so many other fighters that were in the movie, they contributed to the awesomeness of each one of these fights. And Donnie Yen's not getting any younger. I mean,
no,
the dude is just...
He looks it, though.
Yeah, he's just looks
timeless.
amazing. He looks timeless. It's like, I mean, there are some martial artists that just take your breath away with their ability. And really, it was one of those moments more than once.
I know the drama got to you. I heard you crying a little bit, sniffing and wiping off tears. But you know what? You weren't the only one. I saw some people. They were getting a little emotional. If it wasn't for the fact I played video games all day long and see these kind of stories all the time, I'd be right there with you. Backlash. What do you give the movie?
Well, you know what? I gotta be honest. The movie didn't surprise me, and it didn't make me geek out like a third grader and going to the School of Awesome. But you know what? It was a solid action movie piece. I will gladly watch it any day of the week. I hope there is an Ip Man 4. I give it a pass.
All right. Sorry, Blue. It looks like the passers won this time.
This time, but Ip Man will be back to get you.
Oh no! He's very peaceful. He wouldn't come after me only just for a slightly less than perfect rating, would he?
Oh, but Bruce would.
Oh, jeez. Why you gotta bring Bruce Lee into this? He's a hothead.
He's
No.
a hothead. Yeah.
What you say about my master? No, Bruce, leave me alone, Bruce. No.
That's right.
I gotta get out of here before I get beaten up. This is the one true on the Gamer Boss Broad.
Wake up, Backlash.
We lost Backlash. He fell asleep.
Well, let's take two.
And
All right.
And the First Lady of Media, Blue.
Any informational Emperor True Backlash?
I'm keeping that in the recording. Bye.
Take the kids.
Good movie. Great movie.
Awesome.
Oh.